Why don't we start with something that just started up this past weekend on the streaming service Peacock, NBC's streaming platform. Brave New World, the Sky One Peacock TV show starring your guy, Alden Ehrenreich, Han Solo.
Oh, but it were so simple.
And a couple other people. I mean, Harry Lloyd. I feel like I've seen him in quite a few things.
Viserys Targaryen, the one true king, man. Of course.
He looks so much like the dweeb version of Fassbender, though. It's like,
oh my god, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like hard for me not to like see it.
Should be. Are they cousins? They actually look quite alike.
They do look very much alike. You also have Jessica Brown Finley in this. Demi Moore.
Yeah,
I mean, some big names. But you know, I watched an episode, got through like an episode and a half. I know you've seen a few of these. How many are available on Peacock right now?
I've seen the whole thing because I'm married to the game, unlike you. There's 9 episodes. This came out, when Peacock launched on the 15th. And while Peacock has various pricing tiers, including free options with ads, because Brave New World is an original show, you actually need to have a version of the premium edition of Peacock to watch the show. However, you can get a week free trial, or you can sign up on Android and get 3 months. So you can watch this show legally for free. And that's what I did. Seeing the whole thing. It's interesting. It's a lot. There's a lot involved. And on the surface with the cast that you named, I would have liked it to have been better.
Man, so what you're telling me is this is another L for your guy, Alden.
Yeah, I don't really blame any of the talent, the cast, the acting talent when it comes to this. And I actually like a lot of them in moments in the show. But I think Brave New World, just as a property, it's based off the famous Aldous Huxley novel from 1932, famous dystopian science fiction novel compared to 1984 from George Orwell over time. That text has long been flaunted as difficult to adapt, and has seen miniseries and TV movies that weren't very good. And it's kind of been like an IP. At one point, Ridley Scott was trying to make this with Leo, and then that fell through, and it seems Ridley has resigned himself. That's probably not worth doing. And, if you watch this show, or if you read the book, from what I've gathered from people that have read the book or revisited it recently, the themes of Brave New World and the themes we see on the television adaptation of it, these themes are not as revolutionary or as new to dystopian storytelling as they may have been in the 30s. Ultimately, it's a very familiar thing. I think of stuff like The Matrix and Westworld, Black Mirror, Divergent, Hunger Games. A lot of these ideas about utopian societies that have these strict caste systems and kind of like totalitarian ways of controlling their people. It's not like groundbreaking, and this show doesn't really do anything to elevate that, despite a talented, good-looking cast and some really impressive visuals from time to time with the show. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things that probably the time in the sun for this IP is just gone, unless some true innovator tried to tackle this in some really engaging way. But that's not what the show is.
Well, I think the one thing I will say that probably sets it apart from the adaptations of those other things is there's a lot of sex in this show, Dave. Lot of nude, full on raunchy,
consistent throughout the runtime. There are orgy scenes, group sex, all kinds of stuff you could think of. And it's funny because it's presented to you as like this society, this New London society where there's no monogamy, no family, and no privacy. That's like their log line, right? It's like part of that is like they just have sex, doesn't matter. There's no they're all like genetically created, so like they're not gonna get anyone pregnant. So they just fuck, do whatever they want, and they're supposed to fuck everyone and not stay consistent. And like has no meaning, so just enjoy yourself. And it's like eventually, newsflash, that starts to bother some of the characters, and they realize that they're not feeling fulfilled despite everything society's telling them to be. Like none of like the plot points and the narrative progressions wow you because you can see them coming because you've seen them before. So, and the sex angle is weird because it's like some early Thrones, like a lot of Westworld. It's like it's just so in your face to the viewer to be like, look at this hot people fucking with dance music, get it? And it's like, yeah, I mean that's cool, but like I don't need to watch the show for that. So why am I gonna like? It's not special. It's still not special at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So it's a weird show, man. It's quite something.
Well, you keep saying it's weird. Do you feel like what makes it weird is the that it feels so out of place? You know, that it feels like an unnecessary like theme, a show that's like from an era gone by. Do you feel
Mm.
like what's weird is that it's kind of at least from the first episode, I felt like a little bit disjointed, paced a little bit weird. There were moments where I was really engaged, moments where I couldn't care less what was going on. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a complex world too, like setting up kind of like how things got there and why
Yeah.
all these abilities people have within this
Mm-hmm.
utopia is very, there's like a lot to learn, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I'd say I think the show kind of picks up and becomes a little more interesting once the early stuff that you saw goes away. Once John, Alan Ehrenreich's character, once John goes to New London, and like he's like a fish out of water in
Mm-hmm.
this thing, and then the society that he's seeing, he's like, y'all are a bunch of weirdos. Why do you think this way? You're allowed to have different thoughts than what you were told to think and say. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of ultimately boilerplate stuff. And it's just kind of disappointing because there is a lot of cool stuff you could explore with this, right? But I don't think the show ever makes really any effort to go down any of these paths.
Hmm.
And we just kind of go down the middle and we have the baseline, like the characters feel this and John convinces them to think this way, and it's like there's this the Epsilons. They're the lowest level of society in the caste system. They're like the working class, and
Yep.
the Epsilons love their work, as society says. They're happy to do it, and then it's like John starts talking to them, and he's like, "You don't have to fucking vacuum that shit that I just broke. It's okay. This is bullshit." And it's like, wow, I saw that coming like the fucking
Right.
first time I saw one of these Epsilon dudes. It's like you knew that that's like the source of rebellion right there. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Well, in the
this is so
first
special.
episode, one of them kills himself, you know, throws
Yeah.
himself off the
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I feel like they do set the conflicts up right in the beginning, right? Like you have um Henry Lloyd, who plays Bernard Marx in the show. He's kind of like this what's it called, like alpha being, so to speak. He
Yeah,
can
he's
like
a Alpha Plus,
alpha plus,
the
so he can
top of
like
the society. He's like a manager of sorts, and like,
right.
which is funny because really it means it's like he's just like fucking strapped when it comes to all the pills they have in the
Mhm.
society. Oh my god, you watch so many people pop pills constantly in this show. Soma is what it's called. And it's like they relegate their levels whenever they hear something or see something that's not the way it's supposed to be. Yo, let me pop that green real quick. I'll feel good again, you know? And
Mhm.
it's like, and then Alden's it's like, at one point, it's like, hey, you can have this feeling. You don't gotta check those levels, bro. It's like, wow, again, saw that coming. But yeah, Lloyd's character Marks, he's kind of interesting because like he kind of goes up and down throughout the run of the show, whether you like him or you don't, because
Mhm.
he's kind of like slowly beginning to feel unfulfilled in his role, even though he, as a Alpha Plus, is supposed to be at the top of the privilege in
Right.
society in New London. So again, they could have explored it more though, and they don't.
And he's kind of following around Jessica Brown Finley's character Lenina and kind of saying like, hey, I see that you're having this monogamous relationship, like what's going on there, like you should not be doing that, it's prohibited,
So
you
funny.
know. While meanwhile he's kind of like, I can't tell, is he longing for a partner or what's the conflict there with him?
It's actually not clear, and that's actually an issue I had with the show too. Is there's some like basic like top level societal conflicts you can just see coming because again they're familiar.
Mhm.
But in terms of the characters, like Marx, his motives don't come into view for a little while, and I think it's more about just he doesn't feel respected the way he wants to, and again, it all comes back to like fulfillment in society and stuff, and it's yeah, it's kind of weird because like they're kind of like paired off in the beginning of the show, and then by the end of that pilot, when you see John, Alden Ehrenreich's character, lay eyes on Lenina, you're like, oh wow, well, that's gonna happen, and
Right.
shockingly, it does. And It's just
Well, it's kind of funny the way you describe it. It's almost kind of like woke bro comes into the society and is like, "Yo, it doesn't have to be this way," and then they're like, "What?" Like brain explosion.
it's funny because he's not even that. Apparently, his Alden's portrayal, the way the character was written for the show, is a little different from the book, but it's more just like because he's from the Savage Lands, because he's not from New London. He, he grinded in life. He had a working class existence, and he just kind of appreciates like more closer to what real life is or was.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees all these weird people that I don't say weird, but it's like he sees this like sanitized society and all these people just self-medicating whenever anything potentially not in line with the textbook happens. And he's just like, wait, why? It's not even like he's woke. It's more just like he's doing the bare minimum because all these people don't know anything about like living. So it's I'll say like I was generally entertained most of the time. And even these like wild like deep house orgy scenes do look kind of cool because like the flashing lights and the cinematography and stuff. And I did find some of the ancillary characters pretty engaging. One of them is played by Hannah John-Kamen, I believe is how you say it. She played Ghost in Ant-Man 2, and she was also on Thrones. She's like the one who like organizes the like party events and the sex events and stuff. Really engaging performance, really nice wig in the show. I like that. And like, because this is like a dystopian future setting, it has a lot of those things you expect, right? It's like those like stark, like white visuals and like futuristic out there fashion and stuff like that. It has all that kind of cool stuff that you expect. But again, just like thematically, it doesn't quite hit the highs I think it wants to, or at least people used to think that novel should hit. So it's something.
Well, shout out to my guy, Will Toledo, getting that car seat headrest drop in the first episode. Couldn't believe
funny,
it.
Right?
I was like, is this car seat headrest? I don't know if that makes sense for that character.
No, it's just random. Music doesn't really music with lyrics doesn't exist in New London. It's just instrumentals.
But I mean, good for them, I guess. I'll probably check out the rest of it. Maybe I'll give a thought or two. I don't know. Peacock just hasn't really intrigued me as a platform so much. So I don't know. I mean, is this the main thing that they have coming on?
Yeah, they have like that Psych movie, and they had that David Schwimmer comedy show that didn't really get good remarks.
All no's from me.
Yeah, so I don't think I'll be checking in for original content until like the Battlestar Galactica show from Sam Esmail happens, which is obviously years away. So, for now, it's just a library of those shows, and there's a good movie library, at least a smaller one, but there's some good movies on there. But like, I think the big selling point right now is that the library legacy stuff is free with ads.
Apparently, SNL on there, it just like plays a channel where it just jumps through skits, which is probably like the only intriguing part. I'm not big into NBC's like.
If the Olympics had happened, we would have had like lots of Olympic like live watching and stuff integrated into it. So it does seem like Peacock kind of got its legs cut off in a certain sense due to Corona.
Jeez, well, Corona doing that to a lot of people.